And welcome to Let's Talk News Now. Rick Singer here. I always start off the show the same way. I tell people this. What's Let's Talk News about? Well, if you're talking about it, that means that we're talking about it right here inside the Queen Victoria Pub, inside the Riviera, on the beautiful Las Vegas Strip. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
You know, so I feel like Charlie.
I know we sound like that. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Rick. I mean, Charlie. I mean, hi.
What's our assignment today?
What's our right?
Okay, ladies, we were talking yesterday about John Edwards and about campaign finance reform and all this going with it. Here's a whole other element of campaign finance reform. I was reading an article last week that was talking about, of all people, some of the Republican candidates, the GOP candidates, the ones who like to profess as being the most fiscally responsible candidates, right? I mean, that's kind of the GOP's line. And Newt Gingrich, who was running against Mitt Romney up until just recently, professed over and over again about how he was the one that helped to balance the federal government, along with Bill Clinton, right? Well, apparently he can't balance his own campaign funds.
Ouch.
That is bad.
I know, right?
Here's what it comes down to. You're looking at Newt Gingrich at the conclusion of his campaign was literally millions of dollars in debt. That means vendors, people who did printing for him, people that supplied him with services, people who turned around and had vendors of any type.
Okay. But hold
I
on.
literally are owed money by Newt Gingrich's campaign because they gave him billing and so on. And now that his funds have depleted and he's out of the campaign, what are they going to do? He's not the only one, though.
But hold
Rick
on, will they
Santorum's
ever get paid?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Rick Santorum, same thing, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Now, technically, they were supposed to be getting paid. Under the new campaign finance laws, the campaigns are obligated to pay them.
Right.
John Edwards, with his situation, okay, at least he paid his bills.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Newt and
Sure
Rick,
did.
okay.
Better than I was.
He's still paying for it,
He's
right?
still paying for his bills. Yes. That sounds like me.
It's a catch-22, isn't it? You're questioned about not paying your bills, they are, and they're questioned about how paying your bills. So it's like, okay.
You know, I guess my questions would be this. Why not make it a pay-as-you-go? You can't borrow to campaign. But secondly, why is it so gosh darn expensive to run for office? Because that cuts out a lot of good people that could actually be running.
Right.
And you have to compete against the person right now who is already president, and he has a lot of funds.
Sure.
So it
I
makes
thought a
it
lot of those people
difficult.
volunteered to work for these candidates.
Well, there are a certain level of number of volunteers for sure. I mean, thousands of volunteer
So where
hours.
does the money go?
The money goes to things
Right.
like the flyers you're seeing for them to get from point A to point B. Oftentimes they can't take commercial flights. They can already get to multiple states. Like on Super Tuesday, you've got to get around from state to state to state very quickly, so they have to rent private planes to do that.
But how do they get the campaign fund? I mean, obviously, all that can't have been out of their pocket, because if it's
No, I mean, well, in this case, and let's use Newt Gingrich as an example. Right here, Sheldon Adelson turned around and donated several millions of dollars to his campaign. But I don't think that's so much the issue. I guess it's not that that isn't an issue, but what I'm just shocked by is not only how much money they spent, but in essence, how fiscally irresponsible they were in doing it.
Well, you go into debt, and here we are, a country trying to get out of debt.
Yeah, and they're advocating financial responsibility. So I just find this kind of ironic. So do you think that should become a federal offense? We'll start with you, Amber. Yes or no?
Well, of course. Of course. I mean, that's our money that's being donated to these candidates, and if they're not spending it the way they should, I mean, if it's not going directly where it's supposed to be going, you don't know where they go. First of all, they may be going to making pit stop at clubs or whatever, you know, you never know where they're going. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Oh, you know, I think that if you're going to campaign, you should use money that you have. I don't think you should be allowed to borrow to campaign. So that when you run out of money, you run out of money. That's when you stop.
I think it's also because, and lots of us have been guilty of it in our younger days, though, they should be more responsible that it's not my money, so I can use it however irresponsibly I like. It's not coming out of my pocket. So I think they probably should.
Interesting. I would have to say that at this moment, I think they need to further reform campaign funding. That's for sure. Anyway, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to be speaking with a younger comedian who got his start by his friends throwing him up on stage. Next on Let's Talk News Now.